Welcome back to another episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update. You know, our series that keeps you updated with our ever-changing industry. For those of you that have been watching the series for a while now, you know how this goes, but for those of you that are new, welcome. We'll be covering the latest in manufacturing, packaging, coding, sustainability, and much more. I'm your host, Alexa, and today we'll discuss topics ranging from holidays raising poultry product prices, to striking down the overtime rule, to Trump threatening to impose new tariffs, and finally, the Boar's Head Listeria outbreak coming to an end. So, starting off, egg prices are climbing again as the holiday baking season kicks off, coinciding with a persistent bird flu outbreak that has disrupted supply chains. According to the American Egg Board, shortages at grocery stores have been isolated and are being resolved quickly, sometimes within a day. However, the cost of eggs remains elevated compared to previous years. In October, the average price for a dozen eggs in U.S. cities was $3.37, slightly down from September, but a significant drop from January 2023's peak of $4.82. Despite this, prices remain 63% higher than in October of 2022, when a dozen eggs cost $2.07. Some price spikes have also been attributed to supermarkets raising costs beyond inflation levels, as revealed in Federal Trade Commission testimony during Kroger's proposed merger with Albertsons. Demand for eggs sees a seasonal surge in November and December, driven by holiday baking traditions like pumpkin pies and stuffing. At the same time, the bird flu outbreak continues to strain supply. Since it began in February of 2022, over 111 million birds, mostly egg-laying hens, have been culled to prevent the disease's spread. This has led to a 3% drop in the overall U.S. egg-laying flock and a 4% decline in egg production. California, along with other West Coast states like Nevada, Washington, and Oregon, have been particularly impacted. These states require all eggs sold to be cage-free, and the bird flu has hit cage-free farms harder. Moving cage-free eggs from other regions has helped, but it is not enough to fully meet demand. More states, including Arizona, Colorado, and Michigan, will implement cage-free requirements next year, further complicating supply. Experts suggest that shifting to cage-free farming may inadvertently increase bird flu risks. Free-roaming chickens are more likely. I don't know why I had a slip. Okay. More states, including Arizona, Colorado, and Michigan, will implement cage-free requirements next year, further complicating supply. Experts suggest that shifting to cage-free farming may inadvertently increase bird flu risks. Free-roaming chickens are more likely to interact with wild birds, which spread the virus through their droppings. Climate change and extreme weather events such as hurricanes and wildfires are also displacing wild birds, increasing their contact with domestic flocks. Farmers are working to rebuild the flock, but this task takes time, as some eggs must be held back to hatch new chickens. On the bright side, the cost of chicken feed, which accounts for 70% of production costs, had dropped significantly after doubling between 2020 and 2022. This offers some financial relief to farmers as they navigate these challenges. Moving on, overtime pay in the U.S. has traditionally been reserved for hourly workers and salaried employees earning below a specific threshold. In July of 2023, the cap for salaried employees eligible for overtime was set at $43,888 annually for certain executive, administrative, and professional roles. The now blocked rule sought to increase this threshold to $58,656 as of January 1st of 2024, marking one of the most significant increases to overtime eligibility in decades. However, on November 15th, a Texas federal judge ruled against the change, citing that the Department of Labor cannot prioritize wages over job duties when determining eligibility for overtime. As a result, the threshold has reverted to $35,568, a figure established in 2019 under the Trump administration. The blocked rule would have expanded overtime pay to millions more workers, aiming to address inflation and provide fair compensation to employees. Had it gone into effect, employers nationwide would have been required to adjust their labor costs significantly, particularly for salaried workers earning between $35,568 and $58,656 annually. Supporters believe the rule was a necessary upgrade to ensure fair pay in light of rising living costs. However, the judge's decision effectively halts these changes, keeping the 29th threshold in place for the foreseeable future. For many small business owners, the proposed rule presented a substantial financial challenge. Labor costs, already a critical expense, would have risen significantly under the new threshold. Guillaume Drew, founder of Or and Zon, a sustainable home goods company, welcomed the ruling, noting it helps him keep labor costs and product prices manageable. While his current staff wouldn't have been affected by the proposed changes, Drew emphasized the importance of balancing financial viability with employee care. Instead of offering overtime pay, he plans to provide incentives like spa days and remote work opportunities to boost morale. Similarly, Sheldon Sutherland, owner of Epoxy Works, a small epoxy flooring business in San Diego, stated the blocked rule allows them to maintain financial stability while continuing to offer competitive wages. He described managing labor costs as critical for his business's survival. On the other hand, some businesses expressed concerns about the implications of overturning the rule. Stephanie Penn, owner of Tea and Honey, an online t-shirt boutique, argued that fair pay, including overtime, is vital for employee morale and productivity. She noted how clear overtime guidelines help prevent disputes and ensure equity. According to Penn, striking down the rule places additional burdens on businesses like hers that aim to treat employees fairly, potentially leading to inequities that harm retention and morale. The ruling has had a mixed impact on the small business landscape. Many small business advocacy groups, such as the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council, praised the decision, citing its importance for struggling business owners. Council President Karen Kerrigan stated that the ruling allows employers to adjust compensation strategies to match the needs of both workers and the market. John Ehrenmeyers, CEO of Small Business Majority, acknowledged that while inflation warrants some increases to the overtime threshold, the proposed change was too drastic and created sticker shock for businesses still recovering from the pandemic. However, critics argue that the blocked rule misses an opportunity to address wage inequities and rising living costs for salaried workers. By maintaining the lower threshold, employees earning just above $35,568 remain ineligible for overtime, a situation some believe undermines fair pay practices. While businesses have applauded the flexibility the ruling provides, others worry it may come at the expense of employee satisfaction and long-term retention. As the debate around labor costs and overtime continues, this ruling underscores the importance of finding solutions that address both employer concerns and worker needs. Whether businesses choose to implement alternative incentives or adjust their pay structures, the blocked overtime rule remains a significant moment in the evolving conversation on labor and equity. Moving on, relations between Canada and the United States, two of the closest allies globally, have always been dynamic, but recent developments have reignited concerns and spurred strategic decision-making. With the inauguration of President Donald Trump in 2017, Canadian officials faced a range of potential policy changes, necessitating swift action on immigration and trade matters. President-elect Trump's campaign promise and subsequent policies on immigration, particularly regarding mass deportation, sent ripples across Canada. Specifically, the announcement of intentions to deport 2 to 3 million undocumented immigrants raised immediate questions about how this would impact Canada. By 2017, Canadian border authorities reported a 63% spike in asylum claims compared to the previous year, with over 20,000 asylum seekers entering irregularly, particularly at the Quebec-New York border. In response, the Canadian government established a special cabinet committee to handle the potential influx of migrants. Chaired by Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale, this committee sought to address border security challenges, resource allocation, and integration efforts. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, while reiterating Canada's commitment to welcoming refugees, stated, "We will continue to ensure that our immigration system remains strong, fair, and compassionate, but safety and order must come first." Trade has long been the backbone of Canada-U.S. relations, with $1.9 billion worth of goods and services crossing the border daily. However, the Trump administration's America First approach raised concerns over potential disruptions. Officials prepared for the renegotiation of NAFTA, a cornerstone of the bilateral trade relationship. The U.S.'s focus on reducing trade deficits, particularly with partners like Canada and Mexico, led to heightened discussions about tariff increases and stricter rules of origin for goods. In 2017, the U.S. imposed a 20% tariff on Canadian softwood lumber, sparking a dispute that threatened thousands of Canadian forestry jobs. Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland described the tariffs as unfair and punitive, vowing to defend Canadian industries with retaliatory measures if necessary. Striking the right balance between protecting national interests and fostering cooperation has proven challenging. For Canada, maintaining a constructive trade relationship with its largest trading partner is critical. Nearly 75% of Canada's exports are destined for the U.S., and disruptions could ripple across sectors from automotive to agricultural. Simultaneously, immigration concerns required careful management of both policy and public perception. Canada's emphasis on preserving its humanitarian commitments, welcoming over 40,000 Syrian refugees by the end of 2016 alone, was juxtaposed with the need to ensure border integrity. This balancing act highlighted the government's broader strategy: respond firmly to U.S. policy changes while reinforcing Canada's values and priorities. The changes in U.S. immigration and trade policies have wide-reaching implications. A shift in migration patterns could alter Canadian demographics and strain public resources, particularly in provinces like Quebec and Ontario, where the majority of asylum seekers arrive. The economic consequences of disrupted trade policies could be even larger. For example, a 2018 study by the Bank of Canada estimated the collapse of NAFTA would reduce Canadian GDP by 0.2% annually, equating to billions in lost output. On both sides of the border, businesses, consumers, and government bodies face uncertainty. U.S. tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel announced in 2018 prompted immediate countermeasures from Canada, with tariffs on U.S. goods like whiskey and ketchup. These tit-for-tat measures underscored the fragility of cross-border economic ties in the face of political shifts. The Canadian government continues to monitor U.S. policy developments closely, leveraging diplomatic channels and multilateral frameworks like the World Trade Organization to address disputes. While challenges remain, officials remain optimistic about the resilience of Canada-U.S. relations. Trudeau noted, "Our two nations have always been stronger together. Through dialogue, cooperation, and mutual respect, we will find solutions to the challenges that lie ahead." By blending proactive measures with a commitment to Canadian values, the government aims to navigate the complex period in bilateral relations. Whether addressing immigration reform or trade agreements, the focus remains on safeguarding national interests while ensuring a stable and cooperative relationship with its southern neighbor. We've made it to our final story. A recent Listeria outbreak linked to Boar's Head deli meats has officially been declared over, but not without significant consequences. The outbreak, which occurred between late May and mid-September, sickened 61 individuals across 19 states and resulted in 10 deaths, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, known as the CDC. The contamination was traced back to Boar's Head products, including liverwurst, and led to a massive recall of over 7 million pounds of deli meat. In response to the outbreak, Boar's Head permanently shut down its production plant in Jarrett, Virginia, and ceased the production of liverwurst. The company has faced increasing scrutiny and backlash, with reports highlighting serious issues at the factory, including mold, insects, dripping water, and contaminated walls and equipment. These conditions have raised significant concerns about food safety practices at Boar's Head facilities. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, known as the USDA, has launched an internal investigation to determine whether federal and Virginia state inspectors appropriately handled prior reports of safety issues at the plant. U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal, who requested the investigation, has yet to receive updates on its findings, suggesting a lack of transparency in the process. Furthermore, the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service has withheld inspection reports and enforcement records from the public, prompting an appeal from the Associated Press. The impact of this outbreak extends beyond public health. Boar's Head now faces dozens of lawsuits from affected individuals and families who suffered due to the contaminated products. This crisis underscores the urgent need for stronger oversight and stricter food safety measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. While the outbreak is officially over, the repercussions for the company, consumers, and regulators are far from resolved. This episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update is proudly sponsored by our SNEEDJet Titan T7. This holiday season, simplify your coding and marking process with a lightweight, reliable solution. The Titan T7 delivers high-quality, half-inch character prints with an impressive 600 dpi resolution. Effortlessly upload and print sequentially from a USB list, and take advantage of variable data barcode printing with embedded timestamps or counters. Plus, its innovative design ensures spill-free ink use no matter the printing angle. Experience the unmatched flexibility and dependability of the Titan T7 for all your printing needs. Like always, stay tuned for our next episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell down below to stay up to date with all of our great content, and let us know what topics you'd like to see us talk about here on the show. We look forward to hearing from you all. Bye, everyone.
Good.